You have to be careful with who you get as your intuitive reader or your psychic, because the message that they deliver, if you don't like what is in your energy, you have the power to change it. The psychic should be giving the power back to the individual, shift realities or timelines to a higher vibrational frequency. Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to my channel. Hello if you are new. My name is Andrea Johnson. I'm a Reiki Master Teacher, Energy Worker, and Spiritual Lifestyle Content Maker. Welcome to another episode of Conscious Coffee Talks, where I like to have a beautiful sit-down conversation with you guys over a topic to expand our consciousness. Let's dive into today's topic. What it means to be psychic. What are these people, right? These special abilities that these people have. How do they read energy? How do they see into the future? So I'm going to break down everything for you guys to help you better understand what it actually means to be psychic, what it means to see into the future, to actually see or read multiple timelines and read somebody's energy when they're sitting right in front of each other. And then I'll talk a little bit about mediumship as well and the difference between a psychic and a medium. So first off, I've said this many times before, if you've seen my videos, anybody can be psychic. These people are not special. Everyone has this psychic muscle, which is essentially just your sixth sense or all your five senses elevated. So what this means is you are hyper focused to what is actually happening in the moment, meaning you are present. The struggle of everybody getting into the eternal now. Psychics are people who are just hyper sensitive to the energy. They have worked to develop out their intuition or their psychic sense which are their five senses elevated, and they use each one of their five senses, or some of them might have a stronger sense than the other that they like to use when they read energy. They practice it and they are very in tune with it. They have opened themselves to it. Whereas this is different for people who consider themselves not psychic, or they think that these people are special when indeed they're not. You just haven't put in the practice or the effort or the intention that you want to be open up to these things, meaning you have to open up your mind and break down of what society has told us what these things are and really learn the truth behind them. That is what a psychic is. It is not a special person. It's not a special gift. It is just somebody who has opened themselves up to the energy. They are hyper focused, hyper aware. They are sitting in the present moment, the eternal now, and they are familiar with the energy. And when they receive communication, they have practiced it over and over and over, and they don't question the information that they receive. They get out of their mind and into their body and into their heart. Essentially, they let flow what information needs to flow in whichever way the universe wants to communicate with them in their special way that they have, and they don't second guess it. So that is what a psychic is, and it does take work, guys, because we have been trained to second guess ourselves. The mind gets in the way so much. So if you're not familiar with your own thoughts, your own energy, if you don't know how to slow down your brain waves and sit in your knowing, is what I've been taught what it's called. It is very difficult to get an accurate reading. So what happens when you go and get a psychic reading, or what I like to call an intuitive energy reading, is you're sitting with a psychic and you're allowing them in your field, meaning your aura. So essentially, when a psychic sets the intention to read the energy that is in your field in the moment, meaning the eternal now, what is currently in your field, the timeline that you're on, which I'll get into that in just a bit, they are going to give you they're going to get a download of information when they tap into it. And this is part of the reason why you want to be super careful of who you choose, of who is your psychic or your energy worker or whatever you want to call it, because what they tell you, the information, what they pick up, or what they proclaim that they can do for you is super important. There will be major red flags that you should look out for, or as far as a truthful and honest psychic that will end up helping you and giving you your power back and help you receive healing, because essentially that is why people have these sessions and what they are meant to do. When they sit in the internal now, they are going to get a download of your information, and essentially everyone kind of gets a download of everyone's information if they are sitting with them or if they touch an object or something of that nature. It's a very subtle energy shift within the person. Just most people are not aware of it. When a psychic steps into your field, they are going to get a download of information from one of their 5 senses or several of their senses, in whichever way the universe wants to communicate with them. And then they are going to tell you what is in your field, which will then give you a projection of a timeline that you're on, or they will then tell you basically if they feel into your future of what's to come. So when they get these little subtle energy hits, basically, sometimes it's very hard to actually feel into it, but because the psychic is so in tune with the energy, they're better able to feel it, and they don't second guess it. They just let the information flow out of them. So essentially they are, or they should be, a clear channel, meaning that they have basically stepped away from their mind. It is really, they're almost like just pure consciousness in a body. So then when they step into your field, they are feeling everything that they need to know for the session for you. They are essentially a messenger pretty much, and they don't let their own energies or their own triggers get in the way of the reading. So this is where you want to be really careful in who you also choose to be your energy worker or intuitive reader, because the messages can get jumbled up if they allow their ego to step in. And when you give a reading as a psychic, they always need to be in a place of surrender, meaning that they just let the energy flow, and what information needs to come through, it comes through. And then you have to be in a place of love and gratitude. So basically when you give a reading from this point of being, that is what will come through for the person, and that is where the healing and the love will take place. When you read from a place of ego, that leaves a lot of room for, it could lead them down a more chaotic path in life, or they would end up leaving stressed rather than healed and refreshed. An example of a timeline psychic would probably give somebody is if they stepped into your field and they felt, say, that there was some relationship problems that you were currently having. They could foresee the timeline that you're on based upon this information, that you could be potentially approaching a divorce, that there could be major relationship troubles coming forward, that there could be cheating coming forward. So you can kind of see how you can have all these different timelines or realities based upon what is in your field in the current moment. It just has not manifested yet. This is where some intuitive energy readers will actually bring tarot cards into the session to more information behind what is in their field. That's essentially also what tarot cards do too, or oracle cards, is that they give just a little bit more information behind what's in the person's energy field, what kind of reality that they are currently on based upon their energy. That is essentially what a timeline is, or what a timeline reality is. So if you guys aren't familiar with timelines, because I've said this quite a bit now, timelines are just basically, I want you to think of them like strings of like somebody's life, like strings of all potential possibilities that could ever happen. If you want to shift timelines, you have to shift your vibration, your energy, which means your perception creates your thoughts, which creates your reality. So when you change your perception on something, you will change your thoughts about something, and therefore it will change your reality. So your reality literally shifts around you. This world is an illusion. It's a hologram. It's a bunch of pictures basically put together. It's a bunch of energy. It's a bunch of information. When you change your perception on something, and therefore thoughts and therefore actions, your reality will shift according to that. We really don't move around in this world. Our reality is brought to us. It's almost like a video game per se. Why this can happen is because we are in the eternal now. That is the only thing that exists. Everything, the past, present, and the future is happening now because everything has already happened. So the best way that I can describe this and maybe bring it into terms that you can better understand if you're lost, think of it like a video game where, you remember when we were little kids, we had the joysticks and like you could just like move around, like the character in the video game or the computer could move around depending upon which way that you steered the joystick. How does it know which way to move the character depending upon which way you move the stick? Because it's alive, it's a thing that's happening now. The only way it knows how to do this is because every possible movement of that video game has already been it's already been created. So that it's the same type of thing with life. Essentially, is there are all these different paths we can take, timelines or realities we can take dependent upon our perception of life or what we think. That dictates everything of what path we're going to take, and it changes constantly, but it's already all happened. So we just get to choose, because we have free will, of what we want to experience. Once again, because it's already all happened. And this is where the conflict of final destination or predestination versus free will kind of comes in. Do we really have free will because everything's already happened? I do believe it's a little bit of both. I think we come in, and this is getting off topic, but I think we come into this world with lessons that we want to, or things that we want to experience. I don't want to say lessons. If we just go in and let flow and just kind of move with the energy, we get to the place that we need to go vibrationally. Ultimately, at the end of our life in this character, we will end up at the vibration that we're supposed to. Just the path that we take will just maybe look different. Just the road, some roads may be higher and some may be lower dependent upon our free will, but we'll end up there perfectly. That's how time, all possibilities exist. When a psychic is reading your energy, they're reading the timeline that you're on in that moment. And that's where some people are like, well, she didn't predict it right, or they didn't predict it right, this never happened. Well, they read you something that was in your timeline, that was in your energy in the moment. They were sending you a message of the moment. And this is also where you have to be careful with who you get as your intuitive reader or your psychic, because the message that they deliver, you have to understand that if you don't like it, you have the power to change it, and they need to tell you that. If you don't like what is in your energy, you have the power to change it. The psychic should be giving the power back to the individual to take control of their life, and the individuals should not feel like they are out of control and that whatever has been told to them is just doom and gloom final destination if they don't like it, because then they will end up manifesting that, and that's not what should happen. If you don't like what the intuitive reader has given you, a glimpse of a timeline of your future per se, and you don't like it, they should help you rewire your mind to rewire your perception of the thing that you don't like, to then shift realities or timelines to a higher vibrational frequency that you do want. That is what a psychic healer should be. That is really what these things are. That's what a psychic reading should entail, or a, not necessarily reading. This is stuff that I do in Reiki as well too, in my post sessions. So that's also where you have to be careful of who your reader is based upon, I guess you want to say, their vibrational frequency, their ego, what level they are on conscious expansion. Are they understanding what they're doing in the session? If they are giving messages, and do they understand how to help you shift your perception to see it from a higher point of being, from a higher frequency? So that is very important when you consider who your reader is. Now, there are other things to watch out for too. Psychics promising you certain things, of promising you that they can reach out to loved ones and communicate for you, promising you, that's more mediumship, but promising you that they can get somebody to love you, promising you certain outcomes of the session. I feel like that is a red flag. If they're promising to help you do something that tampers with free will per se, they're coming from a place of ego. You have to understand when this psychic or intuitive reader is doing it for their own ego, meaning that they are seeking some kind of fulfillment or confidence boost within themselves by giving you this reading. But a true, intuitive, compassionate reader will never promise you these things. They will never tamper with somebody else's free will, because they understand the energy. They understand what it is to give a healing reading for somebody. Because if you're coming from a place of ego, it's going to disrupt the message. And for those psychics or the readers who do come from a place of ego while they're giving readings, will come around, and whatever you put out, you get back. It is the universal law of cause and effect. So now that you guys have an idea what a psychic is, let's go into mediumship. Now, mediumship and a psychic are two different things. Now, you can be a medium and a psychic at the same time, but you cannot be a psychic and a medium. So what this means is, when a psychic is doing a reading, or an energy worker, intuitive reader, whatever, is doing a reading, they're reading your energy in the moment, the internal now. They are connected directly to you while also linked to source, right? They're reading you. Now, I'm gonna tell you guys what I was taught, and then I'm gonna tell you what I've experienced as well too, and there may be some debate on this. So if there is, and you have not experienced what I have, it's not wrong, guys. I'm just giving my personal opinion on this. When I've done mediumship readings for people before, and what I was taught was, when a loved one wants to come through, right? And come through the spirit world, the astral realm, whatever, it is through the link between you and spirit that it comes through, or internally between you and spirit, and then you connect that other person to it. I have a little bit of debate with this because, and I, like I said, could be wrong, but I believe that you're connected through that other person, through your sitter per se, to their loved one. I believe that the unfinished business, or the reason that you are seeking communication consciously or subconsciously, is an aspect of you that needs healed from that relationship. And whether you're conscious of it or not, meaning consciously you want to contact them and you're feeling the need to do it, or unconsciously you feel like they are trying to contact you, or you may see them, or they're in your dreams or something like that nature, but ultimately it's in your energy field that this person's energy resides, and that is how they're still kept alive. Or alive, I say. That is how their energy is still around you. So there is some kind of closure that you're needing, some kind of healing that needs to take place. Usually why people do mediumship readings, I don't really necessarily think it's a link directly with spirit cutting the other person out. Maybe I've interpreted this wrong, but I believe it's connected through the other person to help them heal some kind of relationship that they've had with a past loved one. That is essentially what a medium is. Now, a psychic doesn't really contact, is not a specific person you would go to contact people from the other side. Don't get me wrong, they can probably do it. I mean, I've had mediumship readings that I've done for people, and even in energy work sessions, I've had loved ones come through and I've given messages to them, or I've felt loved ones in somebody's field and would describe it to somebody. I believe that there's little bits of traces of both, but when you're going for a mediumship reading, or if you want to directly contact a loved one, you need to seek a medium and not necessarily a psychic. That is pretty much all I had on this topic. It was kind of a little all over the map. Honestly, this was very intuitive. I was not planning to do this today, but I was being prompted to do this today. This was all very, hopefully that kind of gave you guys an idea of what an intuitive energy work session looks like. What is a psychic? What is a medium? What happens during a psychic session or an intuitive reading session? Like I said, everyone has the ability to do this. All you have to do is practice it. How I've done it, guys, if you're like interested, I developed out my intuition with Reiki and energy work, and it happened naturally. But to take it to that next level, to understand the energy and the communication, I had to practice it. My communication methods with the universe, I had to go within. I had to know my own energy. I had to clear out lower vibrational energies to then raise my consciousness and expansion, to get in touch with my intuition. I also had to take psychic courses and read a lot of books. I've read so many books too. That's a great way to learn. But ultimately, you're going to have to experience these things for yourself. You can have all the concepts in the world, but you need to practice it, and especially with other people. Actually do sessions for people and get validations in your readings, because when you have experiences and you relay them to other people of the readings that you're getting, the visions that you're getting, you're gonna start to understand that, holy crap, this is like not woo-woo, this is real. There's no reason for me to see the things that I'm seeing and knowing what I'm knowing unless it was been given to me and it's being accurate information. It will be the validation that you need. It will fill in missing pieces of information that you're receiving. But you also have to understand too, guys, whoever comes and sits with you or wants a psychic reading, intuitive energy reading, mediumship reading from you has already been predetermined, as I've talked about in timelines. You have to pick the timeline as the reader or the psychic, if that's who you are in this, of which sitter you get, which outcome you get. And that's all based upon your perception. So if you get what I'm saying, you can have amazing readings, accurate, amazing readings, and help a ton of people if that is the timeline that you're on. Now, if you're on a different timeline based upon your perception and you're still learning and building your faith, you might get some readings in which helps you grow and evolve and build the faith and the messages that you do get. Helps build your intuition out. If you are feeling something and say somebody doesn't resonate with it, you know, doesn't mean entirely that it's wrong, but it might be a learning lesson or a learning lesson for you. And which way that you were feeling, maybe it means something different that the universe needed to bring to your attention. So you kind of get where I'm going with this and how this works and how powerful your mind truly is in creating reality. Truly, it all is just a bunch of timelines and strings of energy put together. That's all we're on. Anyways, guys, I'm sending you all of my light and all of my love. We'll see ya.